Fords have separated themselves. A big push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Preece upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass. Ryan Preece upside down in the infield.
Last weekend at the 2023 Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona International Speedway, Ryan Preece had one of the most horrific crashes I've ever watched in modern NASCAR. Last time I remember seeing a flip closely related to this was a barrel roll from the 90s in a YouTube crash compilation. But new NASCAR fans might have some questions, even I have some questions. My questions cannot be answered at the time of writing this, as the only idea we have of Preece's condition is that he's been released from Halifax Medical Center, and he's doing well with his family. There are questions I might be able to answer, such as, who turned the 41? How'd the 41 flip over? Why did the roof flaps fail? Well, today I'll try to answer these questions to the best of my ability by describing the crash in full detail. Also, do note this will be a slightly longer video, and I'll be going on at the end about what I found unsafe about the car or the track. With 5 laps to go in the 2023 Daytona Coke Zero Sugar 400, Stewart Haas Racing and Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing have been dominating most of the race. Chase Elliott fans are getting nervous since he's leading the Chevrolet pack, and he needs to win this race to get into the playoffs, but he's surrounded by Fords who'd rather go with each other than him. Everything's on the line, and drivers began to get overconfident with their driving since the field was nearly halved in a big one back in Stage 2. Drivers began pushing as hard as they possibly could, with everything on the line. A win can get you in. Farther back in the pack, Erik Jones is pushing one of these Fords and one of these team's cars, the 41 of Ryan Preece. Erik Jones pushed Preece a little too wrong and turned him down the racetrack. Preece had so much energy behind his car that he slammed right through his teammate, number 14 of Chase Briscoe, and both kept going straight down the racetrack. Preece got his car into a stable position, and he was sliding on the apron, passenger side first, towards the grass. As soon as Preece hit the grass, his roof flaps and hood flaps failed their purpose, and the diffuser flap did not deploy. I have only one of two guesses as to why he flew into the air when he hit the grass. One, the grass doesn't have the same solidity as the asphalt, and allows air to slide underneath the car easier compared to asphalt. My second theory is that there's a drop in the asphalt in the grass, and the car fell down that little gap, and then jumped back up when he was caught in the grass. When his car jumped up in the air got underneath it and pushed it up. Either or, the moment he got into the grass, his passenger side lifted up a little bit into the air, and that was the start of the flip.
Push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Preece upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass. Ryan Preece.
Ryan Preece's underbody begins facing the direction the wind is coming from, which is kinda good since this is slowing down the car, acting like a giant air brake. Preece's left front splitter slides against the grass while his driver's side down still. Unfortunately, his car is still in the motion of flipping, and his car begins to get pushed into the terrain. Preece is just blown over, and this is getting pushed into the grass by the wind. On contact with the grass, his car instantly snaps and begins rotating in the direction he's going, much like a stationary car wheel making contact with the ground while going 100 miles an hour. This completely rips off the roof hatch. It rips it off both the roof and the tethers holding it onto the roof. This is completely unacceptable since this is now a breach directly above the most sensitive part of the driver. The entire hood is also ripped off the pins, and the left/right sides of the hood is now completely destroyed and ripped off the main hood body. Preece then completes a full flip and lands back on his roof. He rolls onto the A/B posts of the driver window. This rips the window net mechanism off and opens the window net. He then rotates onto the front clip and front bumper. Dirt and terrain is flying out of the driver's side window and roof. As he flips off the nose of the car, Preece has lost all control over both front tires, and completely lost steering as a result due to both front tires breaking off the axle and their toe link. After all this, the car jumps over almost the entire exit road for the backstretch chicane. Preece flips over 4 times before slamming the nose back into the chicane, with dirt and grass flying out of the driver's side, window, and roof. The roof hasn't hit the ground yet, so it jumps off the nose and slams the decklet spoiler complex into the ground, which crushes in the right rear taillight stickers and collapses the rear bumper cover. After this impact, it jumps off the rear bumper and hits the tie at its point of flipping, which clears the inside backstretch catch fencing and possibly clearing Matt Crafton's 2017 flip in the trucks. There is visible debris being tossed out of the car as this flip is happening. It's actually possible to see his water bottle be ejected from the car, tossed out of the window net. He flips 1.5 more times and slams his front clip and driver's side window/door into the ground. This completely breaks off the underbody of the front clip, and there is now a giant hole going through the front clip. This is really good since this is basically now a giant hood flap, and there's air going right through the hood from the underbody. He slams the right rear into the ground and jumps back into the air, flipping over another 1.5 times before slamming into the ground one final time, roof first. If you look at the car when he slams into the ground roof first, you can actually see the chassis kind of go in farther than the actual body of the car does. He rotates over the driver's side door and digs the right side into the grass. Dirt, terrain, and grass is all completely ejected from where the passenger side window used to be, and the entire visibility of the window is obstructed for a few moments as the dirt clears the door and back onto the track. Preece comes to the rest on the underside of his car on what used to be the wheels. The car is very visibly violently deformed, and the roof is completely destroyed. Preece got out of his car awake and alert, and then laid down on the stretcher, and was transported to the Infield Care Center and then the Halifax Medical Center. NASCAR and Daytona have their work cut out for them now with this wreck, and NASCAR is not hiding the fact that they plan on making changes to the car. After the race, Bob Pockrass on Twitter announced that not only was Preece's car going to research and development, but his teammate Eric Almirola is also going to R&D, possibly so NASCAR can have a reference point made by the same team and manufacturer, and since Almirola was the only SH car who escaped the race with little or no damage. In my opinion, quite a few things need to change about the track and the car, and we should be a little thankful that this crash happened the way it did. The wreck still could have been a lot worse, and it showed the capability of this car in terms of a violent wreck. First and foremost, we need to make the catch fence on the backstretch of Daytona a little bit taller. That's kind of obvious. Preece's car got over the catch fence 3 times and completely cleared its height once. Directly behind that catch fence is Lake Lloyd. If Preece had gone over that catch fence into the lake, he would have not gotten out there in time. Secondly, the window net system failed its duty. The whole purpose of the window net is to keep the driver inside the vehicle and all debris outside of the vehicle. Preece's window net broke open via the release mechanism, I believe. Preece's window net broke open only on the second impact with the ground, and reports said he actually had cool tubes and possibly even the radio cords flying out of the window. Preece's window net opened when his car was digging into solid terrain. One of those chunks of dirt flying around in the car is enough to knock him out, let alone 5 or 15. Also earlier this season, we saw his visor fly open when he T-boned Kyle Larson at Talladega. This is a universal problem with auto racing, and this was also demonstrated in the 107th Indianapolis 500 this year too. When Kyle Kirkwood flipped over, he struggled to keep his visor closed as shown in the in-car camera. Another problem is the roof hatch, which broke open as soon as the roof hit the ground for the first time. Remember, the roof hatch is held onto the roof with a latch and at least 2 hinges and 2 to 4 tethers. The fact that this failed on impact with the ground is shameful, also considering the fact this is directly above the driver's head. This roof hatch is big enough to have large chunks of debris fly through that hatch at fast speeds. This takes a similar priority as the window net, and we have proof already that there was large amounts of debris in the car, since every single time he landed on the ground, large amounts of dirt and grass flew out of the hatch and driver's side window. Also, a problem that was apparent ever since about the Generation 7 debut, the entire bottom of the car is flat. I mean, we all know this, but this is a severe problem. While this does not often cause blowovers, it most certainly does not help them. These cars flip over so fast, and they do not have any time to naturally slow down via drag with the blowovers. For example, the last blowover we had in the Gen 6, Joey Logano's flip at Talladega, his car took about 2 to 3 seconds to lift off the ground complete and flip over completely. Preece took about 3/4 of a second to blow over completely. Yes, I know Logano's was a rear blowover going into a corner at Talladega, and Preece's was a side blowover, but you have to also remember, Harrison Burton, in the actual debut of the Gen 7, Harrison Burton blew over the same exact way Ryan Preece did. And Chris Buescher barrel rolled due to a fault from the Generation 7. So this is a universal problem we're having with the Generation 7. If they can barrel roll so easily like that and blow over so easily like that, we need to fix something about that. One final issue I'll complain about is the flaps on the car. The diffuser flap didn't fully open. Now I understand this is meant for when the car is completely backwards, but arguably the roof flap that's 180 degrees off is meant for that too, but that opens when the car is sideways. Actually, it really didn't. NASCAR needs to find a way to make this open only when the car is sideways. There's also a possibility that we could add flaps to the doors or even the side skirts, but I'll look into how that works with my diecast later. Chances are that's probably not going to work, and that'll probably be frowned upon by the community, because that's just adding more weight to the cars and making them go slower. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling about how good and bad the Generation 7 car is. I'll try to make these videos once a week, but my schedule is backed up. There's one more episode scheduled after this, so just stay tuned for that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching.